Joseph, what are you doing?
What's it look like? I'm working out.
Joseph, you have never done an arm day in your life.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm training to join the TRIBRIGADE.
You know why they're called the TRIBRIGADE, right?
No, why?
Tri, so there's 3 of them. So they don't have any openings for you to join. Where are you going now?
I'm going to kill Fractar! Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. I come to you today with extremely bad news. My friends, my compatriots, I have let you down. Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I loaded my Twitch stream and read the TRIBRIGADES. I know! I promised I would keep my eyes virginal and my mind empty, but the allure of another broken beast warrior tribe was too much for me to pass up. I am happy to report that immediately upon reading the TRIBRIGADES, my eyes turned into $signs, and I said, hubbada 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 what? Out loud, like an animated wolf from a racist 30s cartoon. I'll be taking a look at a couple of TRIBRIGADE builds, the first of which is TRIBRIGADE ZOODIAC. Before we begin, if you're on the fence about subscribing, let me sweeten the pot for you. Click that little button below the video and I'll make sure that the Nephthys cards are the short-printed secrets in Phantom Rage, not these. So here's the list, and ooh, I'm getting those shivers again. I know it's bad now, but ZOODIAC still triggers my fight or flight. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is an online strategy site for our mutual favorite card game. It's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's also where I post the Quarantine Series deck breakdowns, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now let's take a look at TRIBRIGADE ZOODIAC. We'll start with the former. TRIBRIGADE is an attempt to resolve one of Yu-Gi-Oh's oldest and longest standing dilemmas. There are too many types with too few variations. What's the difference between a beast, a warrior, and a beast warrior, for example? How is sea serpent different than fish or aqua? And what the hell is a worm? Well, Konami decided the answer to those differences was, effectively, who cares, and has printed support for Winged Beast, Beast, and Beast Warrior all at the same time. The TRIBRIGADES are, you guessed it, 3 monsters that span the aforementioned types, and each has 2 effects, one unique and one on-field ability to summon a link monster of their collective typings by banishing monsters from the graveyard as link material. Their normal setup combo involves activating Fractar to send Navel, then adding Saras to produce at minimum their tribal link to. ZOODIAC, on the other hand, needs no introduction. The deck's so nice they hit it twice, thrice, 5 times, has re-emerged as a rogue contender due to its avarice abuse, low investment bosses, and high rolls that end in megaclops. Since, if we draw 2 zoos, we don't need to waste our normal on a TRIBRIGADE, we can easily end on megaclops, Trident, and the TRIBRIGADE Link 4, which is hard for any deck to play through. If our opponent opts to play something that performs a special summon, although I can't think of any deck that does that. Special summoning? Am I even saying that right? Anyway, if they're on any flavor of combo monstrosity, we can stop them in their tracks using our TRIBRIGADES to banish ZOODIACs and end on Simorg, summoning a barrier statue of the Stormwinds at our end step. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, the TRIBRIGADES. 3 Fractar, who can be sent from the hand to the graveyard to bin a level 3 or lower tri-type, and thank God that doesn't include Ram. 2 Navel, its target of choice, which, when sent to the graveyard as a TRIBRIGADE to hand, and 1 Saras, who can be special summoned by discarding a tri-type. Next are our zoos, 1 Ratpier, the 1-card Clops, 3 Thoroughblade, 3 Whiptail, and 2 Ram. We're also on a copy of Stormwind, 3 Ash, and 3 Nibiru. For spells, we're on 3 Airborne, which summons from deck a TRIBRIGADE of a different race and a lower attack than a targeted tri-type on your field. Thankfully, the 0 attack Wing Beast type Navel is the perfect Garnet. We're also on 3 Tanky, a Barrage, and 3 Avarice, followed by some Calls by the Grave. For traps, we're on 3 Infip, 1 Combo, and 1 Revolt. It's sort of like Return from the Different Dimension, with the downside of missing all of the things that made it worth playing in the first place. I just want a high roll, for God's sakes. In the extra, we're on 3 Chalk, 2 Mortar, a Kong, and a Trident. Space here is extremely tight, so no bow. For links, we're on 1 of the Link 4, which non-targeting banishes when itself or another tri-type is summoned, 2 of the Link 3, which reborns on your opponent's turn, and 2 of the Link 2, a free special and a cycler. Finally, we're on Megaclops, Simorg, and Win, both to get Navel off of the field after Airborne, and to clear our own statue. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Luna, playing another Phantom Knights Burning Abyss Arc Rebellion Rake Up Magic OTK deck. Folks, at this point, it's just misandry. Thankfully, our grip is fantastic. We can either pivot through the Zoodiac portion of our deck, or the Tri-Brigade, depending on what the game requires. Our opponent's going to lead with a copy of Tier Scale. Thankfully, we do have the Ash Blossom. From here, they'll set 2 and pass. No OTK for you. You don't even have a battle phase. We draw the worst card in our deck, but we'll follow it up with a copy of Tanky and a Ratpier. We'll activate Ratpier's effect, sending a copy of Ram Ram to the graveyard, then Chakanines to special summon it back. Unfortunately, they have the Infinite Impermanence. Fine, no Megaclops, no OTK this turn, but we can still probably engineer a winning position. We'll use Tiger Mortar to attach under Tiger, the copy of Ram Ram in the graveyard, before overlaying for Hammer Kong and Trident. Next, we'll activate Airborne to get a copy of Naval from deck. We'll activate Trident to destroy the Naval, then activate Naval's effect in graveyard, adding a Ceres to our hand. We'll pitch this miserable statue to summon the Ceres and activate its effect for 4, summoning the Link 4. From here, we can banish one of our opponent's cards and walk over the remainder. This is a fantastic position. We'll set another copy of Airborne and pass it back. For turn, our opponent draws, another OTK enabler. They'll fire off the reinforcement of the army, then normal summon a copy of Tier Scale. We'll activate Airborne, targeting our copy of Ceres to get a Whiptail from deck. We can banish their card in response, forcing them to end on a copy of Graph. Now, Whiptail's effect is activated at end step, and it's not once per turn, so we could have timed our opponent out by activating it 45 times. No matter, we can just go to battle phase, walk over all that remains, and get in for lethal. Our second match is up against Prank Kids, and despite how annoying I find this archetype, I am never unhappy to see it. Why's that? Well, think of the ad revenue! A single one of their turns takes 10 minutes. Unfortunately for our opponent, we've drawn every hand trap under the sun. Unfortunately for us, that's all we've drawn. They're going to go from Lampsies into Dropsies and then make Doodle Doe. They'll trigger the effect of Doodle Doe, which will be met with an Infinite Impermanence. Unfortunately, they've hard drawn the Pandemonium, so they can escape it. They're going to add a copy of Pranks to hand, and then special summon a copy of Roxy's from deck. They'll trigger the graveyard effect of Fancies for a Lampsies before activating Rocket Ride, targeting the additional copy of Fancies and this copy of Doodle Doe in the graveyard. They'll activate Doodle Doe's effect and get a couple of cards from their graveyard back to their hand before firing off a Terraforming for a place, activating the place, prompting an Ash Blossom from us, and then enabling a Link summon of Bow Wow Bark. This triggers the effect of Roxy's. They'll special summon a Lampsies from deck, and we'll activate Nibiru. They have no access to any Prank Kids, and none of their set cards get them there. We draw an Infinite Impermanence. Okay, my faith in the rock. Our opponent draws a Dropsies for turn. Unfortunately, every Prank Kid is an enabler, while Meow Meow exists, but unfortunately for our opponent, we have a Called by the Grave set. No big deal, we had to have something set, with nothing in our hand. My kingdom for a Whiptail and a Zoodiac has graced us with its presence. We'll activate Combo right now in order to set a copy of Ram Ram under our monster. We'll go to Trident, they'll infit, but oh, Ram Ram will make quick work of that. From here we can banish their monster, not sending it to the graveyard, and get in for 25. We are close to lethal, but we'll need something fantastic off the top to get there. Can they fade a draw step? Well, yes they can. They'll pass back to us. At end step, we'll destroy this copy of Place with Trident. Free pops. Who's saying no to that? We'll activate Tanky and get a Fractar. From here we can activate Fractar's effect to send a copy of Naval, and Naval's effect to get a copy of Ceres to hand. We'll activate Ceres' effect for 4, banish one of these set cards using the Link 4's ability. Thank God we hit the Pandemonium, and I am no longer afraid of anything. We will get in for well over lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Synchron Eldritch. I'm beginning to think that I died a couple of episodes ago, and this is just my Sisyphusian-style punishment. Our hand is okay. It's a little more monster-heavy than I would have liked. Maybe the Thoroughblade will even things out, and we have no access to the Tri-Brigades, but we could still do it. We're going to lead with a copy of Thoroughblade, pitching a Ram Ram from our hand to the graveyard. This does make Megaclops, but for the effect Veiler in our opponent's grip. Fine, okay, Trident is going to have to get there. We'll go to Hammer Kong to Tiger Mortar, use its effect to tuck this copy of Ram Ram under our Big Mommy, and hope for the best. Our opponent has a pretty miserable grip. They're going to lead with a special summoned copy of Magician's Souls, and we have the answer to this exact open. An Ash Blossom in our hand will put quick work to their turn. They'll set a copy of Conquistador the Golden Land, 2 additional cards, go into a Link Rebo, and allow us to Dride into that monster at end step. They're going to trigger the effect of Haketo to get a copy of Scarlet, but our lineup is really good against theirs. We're going to normal summon a copy of Thoroughblade. They'll activate Conquistador, chaining Scarlet Sanguine, but we can pop the Conquistador, preventing the destruction. They'll get an Eldritch, but no big deal. We'll draw a card and go into Chakanine. We'll go into Tiger Mortar, tucking this Whiptail we just discarded under the Trident from earlier. We'll activate Pot of Avarice, putting a whole bunch of cards back into the extra deck to draw 2 and tank! tanky barrage! Wow! We'll get Fractar, use Fractar's effect to send a copy of Naval, and then Naval's effect to get the last remaining Tri-Brigade. We'll then use the effect of Barrage, popping this tanky to get material for the Link 2. We'll special our remaining Tri-Brigade from hand, activate its effect, and... oh my god, I forgot to leave zones open. Okay, fine, the Link 3 is going to have to be a consolation prize, but we're still in a winning position as we banish this Eldritch. We'll get in for a fair amount of damage, or 0 as they activate Guardian. Wasn't expecting that. For turn, they draw a copy of Eldritch, and I believe this turns off their remaining Scarlet Sanguine. They're going to go for a Haketo. At the end of the main phase, we'll activate the effect of our Link 3, bringing back Naval and destroying their remaining monster. It's going to return to our hand at end step, leaving us a cool normal summon for the next turn. They're going to search 2 copies of Scarlet Sanguine, but no big deal, we've got the Ash. We're going to normal summon a copy of Naval, activate its effect for 4, and banish one of our opponent's set cards. We hit a trap monster, so we might be able to OTK. We'll go for Whiptail, then activate the effect of Naval in Graveyard to get a Fractar. We'll activate Tanky in order to get a copy of Rat Pier and proceed to battle phase. We'll attack, they'll Haketo, no big deal. As we attack, we can activate the effect of Trident to destroy it and get in for 24. From here, we can get in for 1300, activate the effect of Whiptail, equipping it under the unattacked Trident, getting in for 13 and Exaxes. So it's time for game 2, and yeah, with no hand traps, I don't expect this one to go very well. Our opponent's going to lead with, big surprise here, a copy of Jet Synchron. They'll go into a Link Rebo, then activate the effect of Jet Synchron, bidding a Haketo to go into a Halka-Fibrax. They'll use Halka-Fibrax's effect for a 0/0/1, and then Link summon an Auroradon. They'll activate Auroradon's effect, summoning 3 tokens to their side of the field. This triggers the effect of 0/0/1 in Graveyard, special summoning it back. Stop me if you've seen this combo before. They're going to go into an O-Lion from here, and then Synchro summon a copy of Savage Dragon, triggering the Graveyard effect of O-Lion, getting a level 3 token to their side of the field, enabling a Synchro summon after an activation of a tuning into, you guessed it, a copy of Herald of the Arclight. We have a lot to contend with on this board. At end step, they'll activate the effect of Haketo to get a copy of Scarlet Sanguine, and then pass it back to us. Our hand is gummy with normal summons. They're going to get an Eldritch from deck, not in a chain this time. We'll try to walk over this copy of Herald, and we'll airborne in response to this copy of Conquistador, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. After wiping our board, let's just go to game 3. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and oh my god, this is a fantastic open for both players. Well, thankfully, we are going first, so let's see what we can get set up. We're going to lead with a copy of Fractar. That's going to send a Naval to the graveyard and trigger Naval's effect, adding a Ceres to hand. From here, we can normal summon the Ceres and activate its effect to make the Link 2, leaving the zones open, and then use the 2's effect to special Thoroughblade. We'll go into the 3 and... ooh, that was a hard call to make, but I think I'm actually tucking the Infip for a Called by the Grave. We'll set it and pass to our opponent with a Trident. They're going to lead with a copy of Tuning, unsurprising. Next, they'll activate Eldritch, and I knew it! I knew that Called by was going to be important. Okay, we'll banish the Eldritch. They'll activate another copy of Tuning. They're going to normal summon a copy of Jet Synchron, go into Link Rebo, activate the Graveyard effect of Jet Synchron, after which we will activate Trident, and without access to a tuner, they are forced to pass turn. Now, they are likely going to have access to Eldritch at the end of their next turn. We have the Ash for this one. We have to do some manner of unbelievable combo play to get out of this. Oh, or that works, yeah. We'll normal summon a copy of Barrier Statue, destroy their last remaining monster, and proceed to battle phase. Out Stormwinds, or else. They've got to have pretty much exactly a spell card that they didn't set and an Eldritch in hand, and unfortunately they don't. They'll go for a Despot 0/0/1, we can pop it with the Trident, and they are forced to pass back one more time. Well, that was a fun, interactive game, wasn't it? So we're back with the deck, and holy guacamole! I mean, it's not surprising that Trident is still the massive mommy we all know and love, but I didn't expect it to take down Eldritch. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The deck is more than capable. One of the main issues with old Zoodiac was that a lot of its power was concentrated in its hand trap lineup and floodgates. The Tri-Brigades do a lot of work pushing the ceiling way upwards. 2. Either half of the deck is good enough on its own. Oftentimes you draw into Zoo and have to roleplay 2017 for a few turns, and occasionally you're playing Shrike Control, but both of those are good enough if they're backed up by hand traps. And 3, the synergies between the two decks are unmistakable. There is no greater feeling on Earth than pitching a Ram for Ceres to enable a Megaclops later in the turn. And the cons. 1. Avarice is a lot less good in this build. My previous version of Zoo was on 3 combo, 3 pot, but in this one I'd even consider shaving the latter. It's more important for your monsters to be in the graveyard for the Tri-Brigades than in the deck for Avarice. 2. Statue opens tend to lack repeatability. If you're summoning the Simorg, it's usually bird or bust. And 3. The extra deck is extremely tight. You've got almost no flexibility for techs if you want to reliably and repeatably use the Zoodiac line. All in all, it's an early standout for the best shelf of the Tri-Brigades, and I'm excited to see if Zoodiac has what it takes to return to the top of the metagame in a post-Secret Slayers environment. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons Meepmoto27, Dominic Ernst, Harrison Karp, Alex Perea, Angel Ferox, Candyman, Crispy, Innercrest, Mike Carlotti, Seeker, Sertachion, Stevie Blunder, Tyler Slacks, Tyrese Biggums IV, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Amid Elefandi, Algis Marcin Kavicius, Andrew Benson, Andrew Horseman Linderman, Angry Bread, Apex Systems, Billy Williams, Blake Root, Blue Boy, Chad Bortz, Chibi Gohan, Chorps Away, CJ Alex, Connor Kidd, Dan the Man Hoban, Darcy Tevz, Devin Dees, Dylan Connolly, Donnie Fillerup, Dunkoro, Distrin, Emperor Stove, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fangwang, FUTR, Gustavo Secon, Isaac Jackson, Jalen Ya, Jason Leonard, Jeff Leonard, Geldu Rado, Jose Luis Cortez, Kaibacorp Shill, Corey Hess, Kurakaze, Lavender Lemonade, Lawrence, Lucas Geardas, Lucky Number 5, Lucas Aritzo Hansen, Meds for Feds, Michael Oskfarik, Miyuna Arashi, Moira Brownwolf, Nick Extreme 99, Nix Dolores, Pro Yugi Dad, Pro FP2, Samsoon, Second, Shane Meadow Edits Pronga, Standards Objectives, Swag Kage, Tim Holloway, Yuri's Best, Zach Jencheski, Zach McKee, Bleh, Dive Missile, Josh, Picnic Blasted, This Machine 237, TJ Steakhouse, and this person I have yet to figure out how to pronounce. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.